Hey guys, welcome to this video. I just experienced, starting last night, just like this heart-wrenching pain, like this just excruciating pain in my heart center. It was like so overwhelming. I was just trying my best to be with it. And I just felt like all of this pain just like going down my limbs, just kind of taking up my whole body. And then every time I try to figure out what it was about, the guidance was to just go back and try to be with the feeling the best I could. And I was just like tossing and churning all night. And it was basically just this like unbearable heart pain. And it just felt like it was coming from the depths of my being. And, this morning I felt a little bit more like I could breathe into my heart space. Like something had cleared that had been in there a long time. Like some deep, deep, deep heartbreak. And yeah, it felt like, it feels more like being with that deep of heartbreak and like letting it come up, or I mean, it was coming up whether I was letting it or not, it was ready to be seen. It was ready to be felt. I quite honestly wasn't as ready to feel it myself because it was just so much and it was so big, and I was just like thrashing about it. Basically, it was just excruciating. I just wanted to jump out of my body. I remember a couple of times last night, like, oh my God, how do I get away from this? It's so much. But every time I would want to do that, I'd just come back into presence and just really try to be with my heart space and to rest in my heart space without going into the mind and without going into interpretations and making meanings out of it and following stories. Because it's really easy to do that when we're in a lot of pain. It's just to go into the mind and then loop, about stories and should and shouldn'ts and all of that stuff. And it takes us out of the pain, and it takes us away from being with and feeling the wound that's coming up. So I was really trying not to do that. And I was just being with it. And this morning in my meditation, same thing. And I usually try to meditate for as long as I can, but this morning it was like an hour and I was just tapped out. I was just like, oh my gosh. But what I recognized after this morning's meditation, there's more of this sense of wholeness within me. I realized, I'm at home. I realized how much I've needed certain people to love me a certain way, or else I don't feel whole and complete. And how we get that sense in childhood and then we kind of project that onto our romantic partners or just to people in general in our life as we grow into adults. It's like we need them to love us how our mom and dad couldn't, right? And I just realized that part of me who's needed people to be mommy or to be daddy for me, that part of me feels more incompleteness now because like I was able to be with that deep heartbreak. And I just recognized this morning after my meditation, as I've been feeling through it. I mean, it started yesterday. I mean, it's an all-day affair, an all-night affair, all morning. It's still here. But it feels like that part something in me just feels like it doesn't, and it's so recognizable and noticeable where it doesn't need someone in the external to love me a certain way anymore. Like it happened kind of fast, but considering the pain I was in, it makes sense. Like that was the most heart pain I've been in months. Just to have the emotional bandwidth and like threshold and capacity to be with that much pain was just like, wow. When I was in that much pain, I was just like, oh my God, this is an incredible amount of pain. But going through that feeling, and I'm not saying I'm to the other side totally, but I do feel like more spaciousness in my heart center. I feel like something has definitely been seen at a much deeper level than I ever had before. I'm just feeling this and noticing this in my awareness, how it's so alive in my body too. How it's like there's not as much of a need for someone out here to love me in a certain way. Like that part of me got met by God by being willing to feel it. And it was like I said, I didn't really do anything. I was just like it was coming up whether I liked it or not. I just did my best to be with it, right? It's like that wound, it's getting to be seen by God. It's getting to be met with love by God. So that wound, it thought it needed someone out here. Early on, it was probably mom or dad or whatever, school teachers or whoever. And then later in life, it was romantic partners and maybe friends or maybe even a boss, or, you know, it thought it needed love from the external. Or maybe even that part thought it needed love from you guys, or the validation from doing this work, you know, whatever. It's like that part that wants to externalize. You know, it like externalizes like what it needs. It's like, I can only get what I need from out here. And sometimes that's true, and that's why we do relational healing. And so this part's been met a lot by, you know, my teachers, like Cesare, Craig Holiday, my healer, Julian, right? So we want to do as much relational healing as we can, so that part does get met from the external in a healthy way, in a container that's meant for that, right? Where there's enough presence and depth so that part can be met. But what's feeling true this morning, there's just like a liberation. And I think that's what happens when you feel through the gut-wrenching pain. When you feel through the deep heartbreak. I think that dog's going through deep heartbreak because her mom and dad are gone. But I feel like that's what happens, is like there's this new sense of liberation in your body of like, oh my gosh, that part of me has been met by so much light and so much love, that I'm noticing like you notice this completeness and wholeness within you. You don't feel in separation anymore. It's like every time another layer of pain comes up and is met by light, even if it's excruciating and borderline unbearable or completely unbearable, it's like that part of you comes into wholeness, a part of you that was once fragmented, once separate from the feeling of love. And so much in my heart space that was feeling separate from love came up last night and this morning and yesterday. And I just had this inner commitment. I had this inner agreement with myself that I was going to be with it. That I was going to leave the phone off, leave distractions aside, and I was just going to put my hands in my heart and be with it, even if I had to thrash about. And I was just, oh my gosh, I was just doing all of this, and I was just like, oh. And it was just like this, it's weird to say, but it was like this beautiful death, this beautiful, overwhelming pain. It was just so beautiful, but it was also staggering. And like I said, I want to jump out of my body. I wanted to run. I wanted to do everything I could to avoid feeling it. But there was nothing I could do. And there was this inner agreement that I stuck to, that, you know, and I'm not going to leave this pain this time. I'm not going to try to zone out or put my focus and attention elsewhere. I'm going to be with it the best I can, no matter what comes. I was like doing this like a little experiment. Like, what happens if I just stay with this pain? When I would usually, like, what happens if I stay with it in a time when I would usually definitely go off into addiction or distraction or avoidance behaviors? So I've still been staying with it, and it's a lot, and I'm still feeling the pain circulating in my body, but it's starting to change flavor a little bit. I feel deepened. I feel really connected to the depth of my being. I feel love. I feel a peace that it's okay, that like no one out here has to love me a certain way. I'm feeling that peace, like they can be how they need to be, anyone. Because actually I'm feeling so much love and wholeness from within because of all the pain that's come up and been transmuted and been seen by the light. And this whole thing is a hero's journey, right, guys? I mean, I'm sure you can relate. It's not easy when it's happening, but wow, you do start to feel, I'm feeling in my body like this settled feeling, like, oh, whoa, like that was like deep. And I've been noticing that in sessions, with my healer when I meet with him, and then in sessions with the clients that meet with me, just the depth that's coming up within people. And I'm getting so many chills as I say that. There's just like these deep feelings are being unearthed and excavated. And it's not like anyone's doing anything, it's just effortless. It's the light's bringing them up. The divine is bringing them up for us to feel. My whole body is like one big goosebump right now. So maybe some of y'all needed to hear that, who are having these deep, gut-wrenching, just feelings of pain and heartbreak coming up. A heartbreak, you didn't even know a heartbreak could be so painful, right? It's like that kind of heartbreak. 11:11. So yeah, here we are, here we are. I feel like I'm just living evidence of this process or something. And just being that for you guys feels really complete and, nourishing. And like what I'm supposed to be doing, this is my job. I love it. And I love you guys. So sending you all so much love, and I'll see you in the next video. If you'd like to support this work, donations go a long way. They're super helpful. Also, if you'd like bonus content and a gateway to join the Kundalini support group, there is a link to join the Patreon page in the description box as well. Also, a link to book one-on-one sessions with me. Much love. Namaste.